Do you support medically assisted dying for people who suffer from mental illness?
Wow, that's a really tough one. I think it has to be taken on an individual basis. Generally, I would say that everything possible has to be done for a person first, and I don't think that our system has been set up to address that. I think even with my own experience since COVID, mental health supports are so limited for anybody, even those that are empowered to advocate for themselves. The supports aren't there. So I can see how people would get to that point of desperation, but I think the system has to do better first. The supports have to be there for them first.
I would argue that if you have done all you can, you've been to a psychiatrist, you're on certain prescriptions and it's still not working, and you are down, you're out of options, I would argue that the government should probably work towards building resources for that. I know they're doing research on psilocybin therapy now and potentially legalizing that like marijuana, and there are antidepressants and anti-anxiety in some more illegal drugs, but I don't know if that's the option we want to take. I do feel though if you want to have assisted suicide with a medical professional, you should have that option, but I would really, really urge people to go through every facet that they can before that becomes even an option.
Yes, but I think that's a pretty complicated question. Like, it would require a lot of parsing about what sort of mental illnesses we're talking about, the degree to which a person is still capable of making those decisions.
Case by case.
Yeah, case by case.
Case by case for sure, and there's got to be involvement of some sort of medical or including psychological assessments to establish and confirm that competency.
I know that the medical assistance in death is a very careful procedure. I know that a lot of people do it for like terminal cancer as well, just to be like so they know when the end is, and I think that that's something that's important. I think that when you have a mental illness, I think it needs to, I know that it's a very thought out procedure and it's not just anybody can do it, but I think that it needs to be very carefully thought about, because sometimes if you have a mental illness, you may not be thinking straight as well. And so I think that if there's people around you that support you, I think it's a good, it's good that we have that option and that availability for people who feel like they need that. But I am glad that it's a process that's taking a lot of care and a lot of thought about, because otherwise, if anybody could do it, it'd be a sad time.
It needs more research, but I think that there are some cases that it's very extreme. So yes, it just needs the right amount of research to say yes to someone, but I wouldn't be against it at all.
Yeah, I'm not against it, but I think also it needs more research, because if someone wants to die, that prefer to die instead of being ill, is their decision and is their body. But I guess they need to be in the worst case or something to wish to die.
You should be in control of your own life, and if you're a free citizen and you have the power to choose how you live your life, I think you should also have the power to decide how you end it.
I think it's been difficult for society to accept, but I think that's the direction we're going in. I don't really object to it. I have a friend who took medically assisted dying for other reasons, multiple myeloma in his case, but I think that I basically think that people have that right in the end, if that's what they want.
Yes and no.
Tell me why.
Well, yes, if a person is really suffering bad, hearing voices constantly, and has a disruptive life to themselves and others, and could be potentially violent, maybe they can make that choice on their own. But there's other cases where a mentally challenged person can't really make that determination, so somebody can't make it for them. So
That's a tough one. I think in principle, yes, but in practice, how you have sufficiently informed consent in the case of mental illness is an extremely difficult question, both ethically and practically.
That's a tough one. That's a very tough one. Mentally, well, if they're aware, yes. If they're not aware, then it's debatable. That's what I'm looking on that. I know I have a friend of mine that actually he had medically assisted his parents, but they were in their 90s and 100s, so there was really no choice. And also, I guess, something as far as a grave illness also too. Yeah, but I would agree, yes.
Yes, I do. Why? They shouldn't have to suffer, but if they have a wish for to do it on their own schedule, I feel that's their right.